Hello Magic fans! So today we're actually going to unbox one of the Dungeons & Dragons Adventures in the Forgotten Realms Commander decks. So 4 come with the release of the set. And we're looking at Dungeons of Death, okay? So just a comparison of the packaging from the previous commanders. This is similar to the Strixhaven commander decks. You'll see it's a bit smaller in size compared to the previous boxes, but a bit thicker. Okay, they've done away with having the large size commander. I'm not sure how many people actually use it. I've never used the giant size commander decks from the previous commander decks, and this is actually just cardboard that's printed out. I know some people have cut it out. It's a bit bigger than the extra cardboard version that they have in the deck, but you know, I don't really keep it. Anyway, it's supposed to be a bit more friendly for recycling because there's no plastic, so it's all cardboard. So let's open it up and see what it contains. So you'll see in the box, it's nice that there's a bit of a pull-out tab so you can get the contents. But basically what you get is in this small deck box, right? So the cardboard, they have this, I guess it's a divider that you can use if you pop it out. And then there's some, you know, tokens that you can pop out as well. They're cardboard tokens. I don't really think they're very useful, but anyway, so that's the packaging. We're not really interested in that. So here you'll find that the deck box, I think it's pretty useful. It can carry the deck if it's, I think, single sleeve, double sleeve, depending on the type of sleeves. It might be able to fit it, but probably will have some difficulty fitting double sleeved deck. It does contain this, you know, divider thing, spacer. So I kind of like it. So when I'm storing some of my bulk cards, it'll keep them from sliding around in the case. And here we'll see our life counter. So it'll go to 40 to 21 to 40, and then 1 to 20. And then they do come with this poster that does have some text on what the deck is trying to do. So it does say that here, Dungeons of Death, Zephyrus of the Hidden Ways, tells you a little bit about Zephyrus, and then tells you a little bit about the other potential commander cards that come with the set. It does have a bit of, you know, how to use the deck. So drawing on death and subsequent reanimation of creatures to play the long game, venture into the dungeon as often as you can, sending creatures to the graveyard so you can move further toward the dungeon's prize, and the big finish to create undead. So card drawing spells and dungeon abilities allow you to dig through your deck to find your most powerful creatures. Avoid taking a lot of damage in the early game. The tables will turn as your creatures return in force. Okay. So let's also see, you know, what the deck contains. So they do include like the face commander. So this is the normal foil card version of Zephyrus of the Hidden Ways, but they do contain this thicker cardboard version. See, it's a bit thicker. It's foil etched instead of normal foil. It's very hard to see, but you'll see there's like a grainy texture for the foil etched compared to the foil. Right, so it's the same size as your normal deck, so you can actually maybe use a bit of a thicker sleeve and then play with it when you're playing your commander games. Compared to the previous deck that contain 3 or 4 foil cards. The current decks only contain these two, so Cephris and Nihilor, which is your alternate commander card. So it is a bit of a, I think, aristocrats, but with using the venture mechanic. So these decks do contain your 10 double-sided tokens. And of course, since this deck wants you to go venture into dungeon, it does contain, you know, the dungeons that are newly made available with Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. It has illusion tokens, clue tokens, treasure, goblin, zombie, skeletons, and champion of wits. So some of the cards, I think there are some Brilliant Solar, Revivify, which has the dice rolling mechanic. So some of these commander decks, I know they contain, like, for example, this card, Revivify, asks you to use a d20. Arcane Endeavor asks you to roll a d8. And there should be a couple of cards right here. Grave Endeavor asks you to roll a d10. And for the main set for Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, they only ask you to roll a d20. And it's unfortunate that maybe they could have included, like, at least one of these, you know, d20s that are found in our precon, pre-release decks. So it could have been a good addition instead of, I guess, cardboard tokens and whatever. And since it used, oh, that's a good reprint, Phantasmal Image. I can use it in, even if I'm not playing with this deck, I can use it in other decks. So Hostage Taker, Other End, Solemn Simulacrum. So compared to a lot of the previous Commander products, I think the Adventures in the Forgotten Realms decks do have a nicer mana base. Considering, like, for example, this is a 3-color deck, it has the more useful, you know, lands that you can use to, like, fix your mana early on in the game. For example, like Choke Estuary, Darkwater Catacombs, Nimbus Maze, Port Town, Prairie Stream, Sunken Hollow. So these are very useful lands. So here's another card. This is, I think, in all of the commander decks for Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. It asks you to roll a d4. Source of Plowshares. Mole Drifter. Propaganda. Blade Crafter. So, you know, based on the theme of this deck, there seems to be a lot of the cards that either ask you to sacrifice creatures, or they return, or are able to return for in some way, right? So you're able to return creature cards, target creature cards from your graveyard into the battlefield. There is a Necrotic Sliver, but I'm not sure if it might be the only sliver in the deck. I haven't seen another one. You have Arcane Signet, of course. Commander Sphere. This is a nice addition. It was going up in value, but, you know, it's a nice reprint. Of course, Soul Ring, Wayfarer's Bauble, which is good. So see additional, you know, nice lands. Arcane Sanctum, Azorius Chancery, Dimir Aqueduct. You have your Esper Panorama, Orzhov Basilica, Terramorphic Expanse. The thriving lands that were first available in Jumpstart, nice Lightning Greaves, and of course they contain the new basic lands from Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, which has some nice text that could be used to begin your adventures if you're playing Dungeons and Dragons. Of course, and lastly, there's a bit of like the turn card if you're new to playing Magic, as a like reminder of the steps in the game. Yeah, so basically that's what it contains. It is, of course, ready to play. They are supposed to be built so that it will play well with the other decks in the series, like best played with the other Adventures in the Forgotten Realms Commander decks. But of course, you can try it with other precons. You can also play it with your friends who already have Commander decks, or if you have other Commander decks. And of course, there's going to be room to upgrade the decks. Okay, so anyway, this is this video. So thanks again for watching. I just wanted to show the contents for the Commander deck. Bye.